Hey, everybody, welcome to the Lattice Partners podcast, the AI Playbook. I'm here. I'm Martin Anquetil. I'm here with Christian Yegnazar.
It's
Christian, how's
going
it going?
fantastic. I love to be on the podcast with you guys. So exciting to talk about some stuff today.
Love the podcast with the boys. And then the man who ruined my start. I was winding up, ready to go. Colin,
We'll
how's it
chop
going?
it.
No, we're
We'll
not
we'll
chopping.
chop it.
We're
Don't
not
worry. It's
chopping.
good.
We'll fix it in prod. We'll fix it in post. In post. We'll fix it
In
in post.
prod.
Colin,
Don't
how's it
fix it
going?
in prod. No, please.
You got to get your head out of GitHub.
Yeah, I've been
It's
coding
going
too much.
great. It's going great. I'm excited for a long weekend with Claude.
Yeah. Yeah, Valentine's Day weekend, hanging out with our AI agents. Sweet. Well, let's dive right in. I think we got a few topics we want to talk about. We want to talk about crypto. We want to talk about what people get wrong about building AI agents, and we want to talk about how building a business is actually pretty easy now, but something else is much harder. Okay, I think we're going to start with Colin. You wanted to talk about crypto wallets and agentic commerce for AI.
Yeah. So there's some really exciting stuff going on the last couple of months. I mean, it's been brewing for a while, but the last couple of months there's been a big rise in just talking about how agentic commerce and how agents can actually go out and pay for things in the real world. Last week we talked about rent a human, where agents can actually go and rent a human, pay for human labor. Um, and then that begs the question of, okay, well, how do they pay for these things if they don't have a bank account? And so crypto kind of is becoming the natural de facto response, because you can spin up a crypto wallet super easily. You can manage it via a seed phrase, just like you would with an API key, which a lot of these agents now use to connect to various different APIs and sites. And so there's been a bunch of big announcements the last week alone on companies announcing their agentic wallets. We had Coinbase, most obviously. They announced a agentic wallet that you can give to an agent, and you can set spend controls on what they can actually go out and do on chain and buy things. Stripe also announced they're doing agentic wallets, I believe in collaboration with a more native crypto
Well,
company.
I guess where do you see this going? Like a AI agent has a wallet. So what? What does that kind of mean for companies or just for individuals? I guess how does this play out?
Yeah, I think with agentic wallets, it now gives agents a way to just start to pay for things permissionlessly. Um, it's a lot harder to spin up if you have a billion agents. It's a lot harder to spin up a billion bank accounts. But crypto wallets, you can
Mm.
programmatically make a wallet, give the agent money, and then they can go out and actually start purchasing things. So we've seen agents that have a crypto wallet and they're going on Shopify sites and buying things from Shopify's, or they're going and like using like Rent a Human or Upwork or these sorts of sites and actually paying for labor from other people. So it's just a new way that I think a lot of people are catching on to, and how to allow your agent to pay for something without actually the human on the back end having to click the pay button.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of these companies have put on like limits and different ways you can actually control the spend and control what an agent can do. So it's not just randomly throwing money around. But I think the slew of announcements from Stripe, Visa, Coinbase, and a bunch of other groups announcing they're doing agentic wallets or making a way to spin up wallets for your agent really easily is just a telling sign of maybe how crypto finally finds a real use case and starts to get used by billions of agents rather than just meme coins.
Yeah. We love our meme coins though.
We
Um,
do.
I think it's interesting. I in some ways it does feel like a solution in search of a problem, similar to a lot of things in crypto, but at the same because we haven't I haven't found a situation where an AI agent of mine is blocked by not being able to pay for things. But I do feel like, for example, I was building something with AWS recently, Amazon Web Services. I've realized with a lot of acronyms, I don't actually know what they stand for. I just say them. AWS, which is Amazon's cloud offerings, obviously. And I hadn't used it that much before. And there's a lot of intricate permissioning and things like that. And it was working. I actually never actually configured the permissions in the Amazon AWS website. I did it all through my terminal from Cursor with an agent actually writing and talking to Amazon directly via the command line. And that made me feel like the only paid thing that I need to do at that point is like manage the like API keys and things like that. And even then it can get some of them for me. And the other part of that would be the actual payment, right? Which is like, oh, I want to upgrade to this, or maybe as a one-off, it needs to pay for something. It needs to buy access. Maybe last week we were talking about the skills marketplace as well. And that feels like an opportunity of like, hey, I'm an AI agent. I don't have access to this information because it wasn't in my training data and it's not on the internet. Can I pay for it, right? And I'm trying to think of what are examples of data that's kind of hidden behind paywalls. I mean, if you're doing research maybe, and you need to pay for, the Wall Street Journal or something like that, I think that's a potentially interesting use case to me. Is
Well,
just like,
yeah, another one is just paying for your LLM costs. I mean, with OpenClaw and continuously running agents, the costs can stack up, and so if an agent can kind of pay for its own costs through a crypto wallet that you fund, that's another really interesting way to just keep it running without any interruptions. And I know there's like you can put a
yeah.
credit card on it
Hmm.
theoretically, so maybe it's not the most relevant thing, but I think an agent routing payments back to itself to pay for its own existence is kind of an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, that is interesting. It just handles itself. And I think with crypto too, there are a lot of people are trying to create AI agents that keep making money on their own, right? Like that,
Yep.
because crypto is permissionless, you can just via API calls, just or direct transactions on the blockchain. You
Yeah.
can actually just go and transact it in theory, buy a meme coin, sell a meme coin, and make money, which people have been trying to do for a while. I still haven't seen it work or clear example of that panning out, but I've been getting more curious about that recently. I used to be very skeptical of that, but it feels like maybe it could be
Yeah, I
interesting.
think something that I think is interesting here is that I think a fundamental problem with crypto a few years ago that kind of stopped it from expanding to like the broader public, like we've seen AI expand to like grandmas and grandpas, is I think what I've called like the UI problem. Like crypto generally has a there's a level of difficulty to understand and to use, even to transfer money between
Yeah,
wallets. Like there's like a lot that goes into that somebody that is not technical, and quite honestly even people that are technical are just too scared to do that. There's countless stories of people losing money because they've just sent it to like the wrong wallet.
yeah,
um I think this is really interesting because this in a way is like potentially could solve right that UI problem. Like Martin, like you were saying, like you didn't interact with AWS. Like what if we don't actually have to interact with these complicated wallets,
yeah,
but our agents do, and our agents are our agent we interact with our agents with just a like chat line. And then that could open the
yeah,
door for maybe crypto isn't like the front end, but it's the back end to everything. And like the way that we do commerce
yeah,
from now on, which is interesting. And it's again goes to the question of do people care? Like, do people know what the internet is and how it works? Do people care how their money is transacted, whether it's US dollars or USDC? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. One one last note on that I saw that was kind of interesting is someone tweeted that crypto that humans were the beta users for crypto preparing for the agents, and crypto is actually built for agents, and the main core users that everyone's been trying to find for crypto is actually not even humans. It's AI
yeah.
agents running the economy behind the scenes. So I thought that was kind of funny.
That's it's true, and I think it also leads connects to this other thing of I really believe that in a AI world, the most open ecosystems and technologies win. If your technology, for example, I was just listening to a podcast with the CEO of Vercel. They also build Next.js, and Next.js as a programming language kind of became the default of um, AI generated code because it was the main thing that was in a lot of open source code. It was just out there. It was very easy to use. There was a lot of content about it. There was a lot of documentation about it, and therefore it got ingested into the LLMs. And I think there's a similar thing with crypto, which is it's all out there. All the code, all the transactions, everything is out there. So the models, in theory, should be really trained on them, and it's much easier for crypto to win because it's also permissionless to use. Anyone can create a wallet, anyone can fund it, anyone can do transactions. Whereas if you're thinking about an AI agent opening a bank account or an LLC, that seems almost impossible. So I think that, to me, like a general thesis I have is like openness wins in the next few years. Unclear how exactly. I think there will still be things that will be gated, but generally I think openness wins.
Yeah, I like that thesis a lot. I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. See if the agents can actually start to pay for stuff.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they start businesses. On that topic of building businesses, Christian, I
Yeah.
think you had a
Yeah.
maybe I kind of sensationalized it in the opening, but you had some thoughts on building a business
Yeah,
and,
no,
and what's easy versus
it's
hard.
interesting, and I think there's been a lot on X and even at Lattice, with people on our team. We're working on building because end of the day, I think we're builders and we like to do things. So we've been experimenting internally in building our own products. So we've had someone on our team will built this tool or marketplace called Vibe Market. Um, or Vibe Partners. Vibe Market is another
Vibe
one. Yeah,
partners.
yeah, Vibe
Okay.
Partners. Um, and it's a great app. He built it super, super quickly within 2 weeks, launched it, and then kind of, not too much traction right away. And it kind of goes to the point of, with AI, we can build, anyone can build, literally anyone can build a marketplace, can build a platform, can build an app that works, that's functional, that could provide value, but still nothing. Um, and that goes to the point where I think marketing and like actually how do you get your idea into the right people's hands? How do you get your not idea product into the right people's hands is unbelievably difficult. And because I think there's more and more people building, there's more and more noise also. So marketing has honestly, in my opinion, become even harder because there's so many different tools and apps and things out there that as a consumer I don't even know where to go. So I can't even and I can't even
Mhm.
imagine when we're trying to do this is how do you actually then find those consumers as a business launching. So just curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that. And I think marketing was never easy. I think as like product tech people, I feel like I've sometimes assumed, oh, marketing is not that important. Like, if it's a good product, like
Yeah.
it'll just find its way out there. But I just like not true.
Yeah. I think there's definitely like a core truth that's always been true, which is like building the product is it's not hard, but it's not easy, but it's very rarely for a startup is building the product like actually the biggest risk. Like most of the time, you can build the product unless you're building some kind of new technology like SpaceX, where there's actually really big technology like execution risk. The marketing and getting customers and knowing that you're building something useful for customers at the end of the day is the hard part. And I think that's made doubly hard right now because so many people are able to build now. The cost of producing software has dropped like significantly. The speed has increased significantly. You have a lot more builders who can do a lot more. And there's an additional thing too that we're seeing, which I think is a almost like a convergence on good ideas. Like I feel like it used to be you'd have an idea that maybe it was like, hey, this is a good idea. Like someone should do this. And then like 6 months later, you'd be like, huh, no one's done this still. Like maybe I should do it or like I should talk to people about it, get going on it. Now, what we've been feeling, and I've been thinking about it this a lot the last few days, is we've all had this thought of like we have an idea and then we're like, yeah, we should totally do this. We maybe like start it, maybe we don't finish or something. And then within 2 weeks, we've seen like four different people ship the exact same product online. And I think this is something actually. There was a tweet by the CEO of Vercel that I was just thinking about that I wanted to pull up. Let me see if I can share my screen. He says, from now on, hype-centric, splashy launches will likely be strongly uncorrelated with success. By the time you launch, you don't have escape velocity. By the time you launch, you don't have escape velocity. You will likely get cyber attacked. Agents will spin up 10 competing products with your same interface. Start with an audience of one and get confirmation that it works. Then expand to a circle of friends or design partners. By the time you go public, your moat needs to be deeper than it's ever been. I think there's some amount of sensationalization here, like kind of exaggerating a little bit. But broadly, I think there's a similar sentiment here, which is it's very easy to make something and launch it, but it's just as hard as before, I think, to get people to care about it and to fill a real need. And that's never changed. So I think it's tempting to just ship something, but I think to me, the takeaway is like you just have to like sit and talk to real users and make sure it's useful.
On the connecting that tweet kind of back to the business that we're building with Lattice Partners, we are going super deep with one client generally at a time in a specific industry and getting really, really in-depth domain knowledge and understanding a real serious problem and building around that problem rather than building one product and going out and trying to sell it to thousands of people. We're finding one person that has a real problem and building a specific solution to that problem. And so that kind of bodes well for the idea of actually just finding one user or one person and building it really solid for them. And then you expand from there. I think that's generally going to be the wave of the future is the big marketing campaigns and hype launches and these like videos that get millions of views. It feels very short-term thinking. Like with Cluely,
Yeah.
they had the biggest social campaigns in the world, and then I don't know, I haven't heard anything from them in a long
Yeah.
time, except I saw Roy Lee post the other day like we're actually finding more business not on Twitter. And so he
Yeah.
literally just
I
proved
know.
his own thing where like, yeah, there's a lot of people outside of Twitter and social media that need help. So
Yeah.
finding real users and solving something for them is always going to be a W.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm curious what you guys think though for people like us. Should people stop building like 10 different things and focus on one thing and do that really well? Or should they
Yeah.
be just, yeah, let's just go with volume and then see what kind of sticks? Or what's your approach to that today?
I feel like I'm starting to like wrestle with it. I don't have like an answer. I feel like I've started to realize like, wow, this stuff that before I would like dream about building, now I can do in an afternoon. And I think part of that is like I do feel like I've gotten better as a developer, but obviously the tools have gotten a lot better. So I don't have an answer yet. I'm curious, Colin, what you think.
Um, I mean, I think that both approaches can be valid. I think with building 10 different products at once, you it's less about the product and more about the marketing launch and how you market the product and what loops are built into it. So if you're building 10 products with great viral loops that can grow, then I think that's a viable thing. And then you start wide and then scope down to one thing that works. Um, Definitely a viable strategy. And then the other side of it is, yeah, starting with one specific thing and going really deep on that. The risk there is then that you build something for a long time and maybe it's only one person's problem and it's not actually a wider spread problem.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck with this product that's really great for a specific user, but beyond that, what do you do with it? So I mean, I also don't have an answer. I think it's definitely going to be something that gets bigger and bigger because Martin and I have had now 4 or 5 ideas in the last week that were like, yo, this would be really cool to build
Yeah.
this. And then the next day, someone's like, oh my God, I just launched this app that does this. And we're like,
Yeah.
dude, what the hell?
But we don't know if those
So,
even work is the thing. Like we see them launch, but like a week later, we're not thinking about them. They're not massive products, right? It's not like these are launches where suddenly it's blowing up. So there's
Yeah.
something ephemeral about it, like because the quality is going down. Not the quality, but maybe the overall thoughtfulness. I think the quality, like it's like not a product that someone is going to keep using for a long time. It's just something that was built one time by someone over a weekend, maybe, and that doesn't last as long. And that's normal. That's just the stage we're in. I do think at the end of the day, if you're building like a real business that brings value to people, like we are, I think with the Lattice partners, for example, like that's our real focus. Everything else is like, I think, in service of that. With that, for us, I think we're just, I mean, we post about it on LinkedIn and Twitter, and I think we're building up that presence. But we also know that that's more for the long haul. It's more about the work we do every single day and providing that value. But with software, it's tough. One other note on that, on the marketing stuff, is I think there also hasn't been a new marketing platform for this new like technology and for this new like revolution. Like, and maybe this is more like wishful thinking, but I feel like I hear about early days of like Google AdWords or like Facebook ads or, you know, TikTok UGC, which I guess we're still kind of in that era. So maybe it's you know, it's a little oversimplified, but I think there isn't like some new marketing mechanism or way to reach users right now that feels really compelling. I think the only one to me is like maybe TikTok ads and UGC, which I think does kind of work for software, but it isn't the same as like just posting something on Twitter back in the day and like just a bunch of people would see it, you know, like now there's just a lot more noise everywhere. Maybe that's the theme, is like there's just more noise, there's more production of content, and websites and apps are now just part of that. Just like you can make an AI video and post it on TikTok, you can make an AI website and post it on Twitter, and maybe it's the same.
Enter OpenAI with ads.
Either way, OpenAI wins, right? They're helping you make the thing, and then yeah, they're gonna do their ads. That I think that'll be a big unlock. I think it's silly. I mean, there's the Claude Super Bowl ad that was kind of anti ChatGPT ads, but I mean we've talked about it. I think that'll be a big unlock for maybe for this kind of use case. Like maybe you can test a bunch of ads in ChatGPT really quickly and see if there's real value to your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it will always ring true that great things take time to build.
Yes.
Even if you can move a million miles an hour, there's still always going to be things that just take a long time to build, and that's just natural. And so I'm a very big proponent of just doing the best work you possibly can at any given moment and building that up over time and compounding it to actually see a wider success. So
Yep.
yeah,
Well,
that's kind of my takeaway.
I 100% agree. And I think maybe this is like a natural transition into kind of the topic that I wanted to bring up too, which was around basically how to build AI agents in your company and what I think people are kind of getting wrong about it. I think it's the same thing where I think people see the end state of someone else and they see, oh, especially they probably see it on social media. Maybe they see it on some blog post or something. Hey, this company fired all their people and they replaced them with AI agents, or this company has this magic AI agent that fixes all of their problems, things like that. I actually think that then leads people to think that they can just build an AI agent and just have it on day one and have it be amazing. And like all they have to do is, I don't know, either buy it from someone or have someone on their team just build this AI agent and just have it just show up in their Slack or in their Microsoft Teams or in their email and have it just work. But I think the real way that has to happen in a company is actually going to be much slower and require actually a lot more work from leadership than they might think. It's gonna Someone can come in and do it. You know, I mean, that's what we do, right? We go into companies and we help them build AI agents, but we couldn't do it without the leadership that were working there, right? They have to tell us, oh, we use this system, we use this, we use that. With this customer, we have to do this. Here's our workflow with this SaaS platform, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's just a much slower process. And what it really needs to start with is like real problems. right? The same way that we could probably build an AI agent for your company in 5 minutes, but it's not going to actually solve any real problems because you need to connect it to your database, you need to connect it to your CRM, you need to connect it to, your ERP, whatever you're using, you need to connect it to that, explain what the data is, and then build workflows. But to me, it starts with like a singular real problem that is like people are wasting time at your company doing this thing, right? So anytime there's like a manual data entry from software A to software B or file A to file B, that's always a great opportunity to start because AI is very good at that. Anytime you're doing research, that's something that AI is very good at. I don't know if any other examples of like what to start with come to mind, but I think just starting is like the best thing to do rather than getting too caught up in this vision that I think a lot of executives sometimes get caught up in.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think with my massive Twitter following, I tweeted this and got 2 likes by the 2 people on this call. I think like a lot of people, yeah, are just there is an overwhelming amount of content, ideas, and stuff out on the web. So it's tough to know, okay, where do I want to start? I think Martin, you outlined perfectly like where you should start. It's like with the easy stuff. But yeah, I think people are scared to start and then have to throw away what they've built and then restart. Or I think there's a lot of people that are just waiting to see, okay, what is like the final form of like agents in business? In my opinion, is if you're waiting to see that, you're going to be waiting a long time because it's changing every week, sometimes every day. And
Yep.
so I think if the strategy there is to see, okay, what is the best thing to do or the best way to implement AI in my business or the best way to build an agent for my business, you're going to, one, be left waiting, and two, left behind because somebody else will just try different things and they'll find something that really works for them and they'll start to run laps around your business. So I completely agree. I think the best way to move in this landscape that we're in is just to start. You try things. It's not a waste of money. It's an investment in learning and growth. I think so. I agree.
To extend that, I think that a commonality with user research, you start with one flow or one thing that takes a long time. You do a lot of research, you understand what the users are doing, what the problem is within a company. And one thing that will likely always remain with user research is once you discover one problem, it opens up a rabbit hole of a whole bunch of other problems. You cut off one head, at 5 more grow back. And that's where building for one workflow to start becomes really valuable because then you start with one thing, you solve a real problem, but in that discovery of that specific workflow, you find 5 other ways you can add AI agents to your business. And then now by the end of it, you have 10 different agents that really sprouted from one thing instead of going from 10
Mm-hmm.
agents to like try to figure out where to put all these 10 agents. You're actually solving problem by problem, step by step, and just slowly kind of adding to your stack. And it also just brings your base level knowledge of your own business up a lot. If you're able to build an agent for a specific flow of your business, you have to understand that flow extremely well to be able to build a solid agent. So this idea of starting with one thing, it seems like if you look at it from the short term, it seems like, oh, I'm just solving for one problem or one automation. Like that's a waste of time. No, like actually
Mm-hmm.
you're solving this one thing that then is going to balloon into everything else that is wrong with your business or slow with the business. And then all of a sudden, a couple months past, you're actually in a really great spot for automating a lot of your flows.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. I think with that too, people sometimes don't know where to start, or like which thing is interesting or what might be most useful. And what comes to mind for me is I don't know if you guys read this book, The Goal. We read this in a
I think
business
in business
class.
school, yeah.
Yeah, in our business ops class in college,
Throwing
and
stuff. Yeah.
um, I think about it all the time. It just introduces one very simple concept, which is that like all that matters. It tells some story, and the story is extremely simple. It's like this guy who's taking his son and like the Boy Scout troop like up a mountain, and they realize there's this one kid in the group who's really slow, and they have to walk ahead like 5 minutes, then wait for him, then they walk another 5 minutes, and they wait for him. then they realize, you know what, all that matters is we just need to get this kid to go faster. So they take all the stuff out of the kid's backpack, and now the kid can walk a lot faster, and then they let him lead the pack and they follow him, right? They try all these different things to try to go faster before that, but all that matters is you got to figure out your bottleneck. And I think that paired with this AI agent approach is like, what's like the slowest thing in the business right now? What's holding back the business? Because you can bring AI agents to parts of the business where you can introduce efficiencies. That's great. But if you make the I don't know, customer support way more efficient, that's great. You can probably reduce costs. But if the main bottleneck in your business is actually sales and bringing in customers, that's where you should be putting in AI agents. So I think there's something useful there of just starting with like the real problems and the real bottleneck. But all these things combined make me think from our conversation earlier is like, yes, AI makes a lot of things easier, but you still have to do your job. I think we felt this in the beginning. Sometimes we talk to people about AI, and from our conversation, it felt like they just wanted the AI to do like their whole job. And maybe we'll get there, but if the AI does your whole job, you don't have a job. So it's important that we also figure out, you know, where our insights and where our alpha as people with experience in these industries and these roles can drive value, basically. And that's really figuring out where to deploy AI in the beginning.
That reminds me of this Harvard Business study that came out this week. Harvard Business conducted an 8-month field study following 200 employees at a U.S. tech company, and they found that AI actually did not reduce work; it intensified it. As AI filled knowledge gaps, employees took on tasks that once belonged to other roles or were deferred. And so this expansion created new coordination and review work, especially for a specialist correcting and refining AI assisted output. So it's a really interesting phenomenon that you think AI is going to do all your work, but actually a lot of studies are finding that it's making it more intense and you have more to do because now you can move so fast and do so many things. The stuff that you were planning for next year, all of a sudden, let's plan for next month.
Yeah.
And then that just breeds a lot more work, but the work that you're doing is more impactful. So it's a net positive.
So interesting because it is true. And I think what it's just, I think people, there's like a fear that, yeah, we'll take away your job. But I think that studies like that and just like the idea that AI will just do your job is we're not there yet. I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon. But I'm curious to hear what you guys, for the people that, because I think I've spoken with a lot of people that are just overwhelmed. Like, okay, there's Anthropic, there's Claude, OpenAI, ChatGPT, Grok, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there's a million different tools. People post on LinkedIn like these lists of like, if you're doing this, use this tool. And there's like tools I've never even seen on there. And I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? And like those things are just, I think, are like, I don't think they're intended to, but they overwhelm, right? For somebody that's not in the weeds of AI and like the stuff that's coming out every day. What would be the one or two pieces of advice you would give to somebody that wants to start, but is just like, and maybe not even from a company level, but even from a personal level, like where do you even begin? What would you do, or what would you tell somebody like that?
I would say when you like being curious is the best thing. I know a lot of times if you're a very busy executive or employee or worker, whatever, you don't have time to be curious, but I think it's a really good practice that when you do see something or see a tool or see something that someone did, just try it. Spend 20 minutes downloading whatever tool it is or setting up whatever Claude project it might be and just trying it and seeing how it works. Because you learn a lot just from taking action and trying stuff. So I think better than going through Twitter and bookmarking a bunch of tweets and saying, oh, I'll try this next week. Just like you see something, you have 20 minutes to spare, just try it, see what happens. And I think you learn a lot from that exploration. And then it also ultimately helps you weed out what is not effective. You try a couple things, they don't work. Now, you know, when you see posts like this or see things on Twitter that say, oh, I did this in 5 minutes, you're like, okay, that's a load of shit. Like, I tried it. It didn't work that way.
Whoa, we have to make this podcast
again, just being
explicit now,
curious.
Colin. I'm kidding.
We lost one of our 2 viewers on that. I'm joking.
It's a really good
Yeah,
point.
Adding
try
to that
things.
too. Yeah, I was gonna say adding to that too is like just getting started on something. Like just pick a tool. Like there's no wrong tool at this point. Well, maybe there is, but there probably isn't. You know, like if you use ChatGPT or Gemini or something like that, like just get going. Like I think Colin, you use Claude Code, I use Cursor. I don't think either of us is like massively missing out on something. I mean, there are features from Claude Code where I'm like, oh, maybe I should switch now. Like this Teams thing came out, Claude Teams. Like maybe there's things that are interesting there, but broadly, it's most important. I think with all of these things to pick a lane and kind of stick to it and see it through, rather than like try to do everything and feel like someone's got the magic solution. There's no magic solution. Most people on the internet are also probably lying to you about what they're doing and how amazing their agents are, because that's kind of the incentives of social media. So I think just solving real needs for yourself and going slowly would be my advice.
I use Codex now, actually, as of yesterday.
Damn.
So
Wow.
just a
See,
quick
Colin's
correction there.
ahead. I've been seeing on Twitter everyone saying Claude Code is over, Codex is in, which is next week it's going to be Codex is out.
It's me,
Cursor is
Gemini,
in,
next week.
and then I'll be like, yeah, no, next week is Cursor. I've asked the Illuminati to start pumping that narrative for me, so that I can say I was ahead of the trends.
We should get them to pump the China models narrative so our costs are cut in
So our
half.
costs go down. Yeah, I don't think the Chinese models are as good. Did we want to? We had I had one tweet that I wanted to share, and then I think Colin, you had another one. Mine is really quick. I just thought this was awesome. I think if I had to bet, I think this is a term that will enter the lexicon of AI speak. There's this tweet: 4 types of people at every company now. Yes, people get 10 times better. Oh, I'll just explain the chart. It's a 2x2. One says does not have good judgment or has good judgment. One says does not use AI. One says uses AI. If you don't have good judgment and you don't use AI, that says dead weight. If you have good judgment but you don't use AI, that says steady hands. If you do use AI but you have bad judgment, that's slop cannon, which is now my new favorite term. And then if you use AI and you have good judgment, that's a turbo brain. Obviously, that's where you want to be, right? Is you have good judgment and use AI. But I think there is a phenomenon of potentially people who have not the best judgment, or maybe there's someone who before was not the best at their job, but their leverage was kind of limited because they didn't have AI. Now with AI, it feels like it's 10 times easier to do bad work as well. It's 10 times easier to do good work, but it's also 10 times easier to do bad work. And I think there's a validation of using AI that then people get caught in these echo chambers and all that stuff. But I just love the term slop cannon.
It's such a good
to describe a very specific phenomenon that we're seeing now.
I know some slop cannons, and myself was also and can be a slop cannon.
Yeah, it's good to try not to. I've definitely been there. I think it's good to be intentional. Like I feel like sometimes I'll just copy and paste something I just got from ChatGPT. You just have to give a little warning. You're like, okay, this is just a bunch of slop. Like, and there's going to be some value in it, but it's just a heads up. Like this is slop. I didn't filter it. It's straight from ChatGPT, and it's just something I read.
Yeah, something that I saw that's related tangentially is an article called "Unrot Your Brain," and it just talks about being a lot more intentional, like you said, with what you're reading and bringing into your mind. And actually, Martin, you brought up an interesting point, I think like a week ago, around cognitive security, and not letting yourself get one-shotted by the AI or by these Twitter threads where you see all these crazy things. Focusing in on the things that are actually great and expanding those rather than just reading endless tweets of a bunch of slop all day. So I thought I've been trying to unrot my brain, read a real book, a physical book, meditate, do all those things. Let myself be bored. That's a really big one, I think.
Hard to do.
Yeah, I do think it's been like this for a while with social media, but I think right now the risks are high, and it feels like the platforms are specifically built to bait you and saturate the same content over and over again. And like, I see it even with older people who I thought before were not really using social media, who are now kind of seeing narratives, and I can have to be like, no, that's not true, right? And it used to be very politically charged, and I feel like now it's even just coming for like AI and business things where people are seeing
Yeah.
narratives that aren't true. So cognitive security, big proponent of it. I don't know if I'm the best at it, but I think it's great to keep in mind. That's the pod.
Awesome.
Great. Good
That was
stuff.
awesome.
Thanks for
Good stuff,
Vote
listening.
for your
everybody.
favorite podcaster in
Thanks
the
for listening, and we'll
comments.
see you next week.